I want to thank Dr. Barrett and Dr. Hussein and Dr. Leo for having me here today. And I admit I was too darn lazy and shiftless to put together a PowerPoint, so I just have a video. But just as background, this is a lady who is a lap bypass patient of mine, I think from 2008, and she developed an unrelenting stricture and ulcer situation 5 or 6 years later. So she had already gone through one revision, and she reappeared last year with the exact same problem, and it was really frustrating. She's not a smoker. I could not think why this was happening, and we did a number of endoscopic interventions to try to get this open, and it would not stay open, and she was unable to eat. So I took her back for a robotic re-revision of her GJ. So if you could just play that, or if I can play it, let's see, there we go. So she has an enormous pouch, just freaking enormous, and this is after an initial pouch and then a downsizing. So I'm wondering if in some ways it might have something to do with having taken the left gastric that might have led to some ischemia of the GJ. And I did try to use ICG during this case, but it didn't work. And subsequently, I think we found out that our anesthesia team was squirting it into an IV that was infiltrated. So she had a nice green arm. She did not have green vessels. Very upsetting. So I always start with disconnecting the proximal alimentary limb, so I have a handle to work on, and then just cleaning stuff up posteriorly, trying to keep as much blood supply as possible, and then cleaning up the lateral part of the pouch, which you can see is just simply enormous. And I sure as heck didn't give her an enormous pouch that I know of, but with her chronic vomiting, it just blew out. And then there we are trying to downsize the pouch. Nice and small. And I think I fixed her hiatal hernia at one of her prior operations, so she did not have a hiatal herniation of the pouch, but she had scar tissue up there that was holding the pouch in a sort of upward position. So I just kind of lysed those adhesions to bring things down. I ordinarily like to use the inferior staple line of the pouch to start my posterior layer for the GJ, but I couldn't do that in this case because it was so high, which is why we had to open a posterior gastrotomy. I don't usually do that. I usually do it anteriorly. I know some people do, but that pouch was thick as a brick, so we had to bring down a scope just so we could burn against it, and the Olympus people would be mad that we were burning on their scope, but oh well, had to make it happen. But you can see it was over a centimeter thick. Which is not true for the small bowel. But this ended up becoming your classic robotic GJ, and I didn't have to do anything to the JJ, thank heaven, so I just had to do that. Now, one thing I can say about this patient is she is a bit of a drinker, because I think 3 weeks post-op she was at Texas Roadhouse, I think, having prime rib and baked potato and, a lot to drink. So, alcohol might have something to do with it. We can make our patients quit smoking beforehand, but it's hard to prove that they are completely alcohol-free and remain alcohol-free. And I don't know what I'm going to do about her when she comes the next time, which will happen. Guarantee it. But this is just like everybody else's robotic hand-sewn GJ in 2 layers. I use V-lock and then pass. We use a scope. We don't use a VisiG because it's my institution is cheap. B, we use the endoscope on every case that we do because it is a fellowship program, and so it counts as an endoscopy for each case. It ended up being a really nice looking anastomosis too. Gosh, I hope it lasts. I don't want to go in there again. But I will say that she had a gratifying lack of adhesions, really, if you think about it, after 3 operations. If this had been done open, it just would have been harrowing. It doesn't take much for me to be harrowed, I admit. My fellow's probably here, and she knows that I'm like a fishhook on a nerve. And then I tend to just snowshoe the outer Lembert layer because it works really well and it's not quite as bunchy and it goes really fast. And since I had given her a 150 centimeter proximal alimentary limb the first time, she had plenty of bowel between there and the JJ, so we didn't even have, we did count it, but she had plenty. And then we did our endoscopic leak test, and all was well. And out it goes. Thank you.